Rihanna built Savage X Fenty on a promise of inclusivity and disruption, but when you line up the real timeline, the deleted evidence, and the industry fallout already happening behind the scenes, it looks less like a revolutionary brand and more like a carefully constructed house of cards that is finally collapsing. The numbers do not lie. Rihanna just lost $400 million in net worth in a single year, and the biggest culprit is not her music career or even Fenty Beauty alone. It is the quiet unraveling of Savage X Fenty, a lingerie empire that went from a $1 billion valuation to what industry insiders are now calling a strategic liability. This is not just about slower sales or a bad quarter. This is about fraudulent billing practices, CEO departures, furious customers, and a parent company with a decade-long history of scamming consumers that Rihanna either ignored or actively enabled. Now, before we get into the timeline they are trying to scrub, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. The mainstream media is currently being paid to bury this story, but I am showing you the receipts they deleted and the context they are too scared to post. Do not let the PR spin win. Join the drip right now. Let's start with the part that makes this whole thing feel like a controlled demolition rather than a business hiccup. In August 2024, the CEO of Savage X Fenty, Hilary Super, abruptly resigned to take the top job at Victoria's Secret. On the surface, that looks like a normal executive move, maybe even a coup for Rihanna's rival. But here is what the press releases did not tell you. Hilary Super left in the middle of a massive internal crisis at Savage X Fenty. Sales were already flatlining. Customer complaints about the predatory VIP membership program were exploding across Reddit, TikTok, and the Better Business Bureau. And the parent company, Textile Fashion Group, was facing renewed scrutiny over the exact same subscription scam tactics they had been fined for a decade earlier with their other brands like Just Fab and Fabletics. Hilary Super was not jumping to a better opportunity, she was jumping off a sinking ship, and Rihanna's team has never addressed why the CEO bailed at such a critical moment. That silence is loud, because if Savage X Fenty was thriving, if it was truly on track to become the Victoria's Secret killer the media kept hyping it as, there's no way Super walks away to rescue a dying legacy brand. The real story is that she saw the financials, she saw the legal exposure, and she got out before her name got attached to the inevitable crash. And speaking of legal exposure, let's talk about the $1 million fine. In 2022, Savage X Fenty was slapped with a penalty by California prosecutors for allegedly defrauding customers. The scheme was simple but brutal. When people bought a single item from the Savage X Fenty website, they were automatically enrolled in a VIP membership program that charged their credit cards $55 every single month until they manually canceled. The problem? Most customers had no idea they had been enrolled. There was no clear opt-in, no confirmation email, just silent recurring charges that drained bank accounts for months or even years. The lawsuit filed by Santa Clara, Santa Cruz, Los Angeles, and San Diego counties accused Savage X Fenty of breaking California's automatic renewal law, which had just been tightened to prevent exactly this kind of predatory behavior. Now, here's where it gets really dark. That $1 million fine sounds like a lot, but it's pocket change compared to how much money Savage X Fenty made off that scam. According to a deep dive by Reddit users who tracked the company's funding rounds, Savage X Fenty used the inflated VIP membership numbers to artificially boost its valuation when it went out to raise venture capital. In February 2021, the brand raised $115 million at a $1 billion valuation. Investors were told that Savage X Fenty had a massive loyal subscriber base. What they were not told is that a huge chunk of those subscribers never meant to sign up in the first place and were actively trying to get refunds. Rihanna essentially scammed her way to billionaire status by presenting fraudulent engagement metrics to private equity firms. And when the prosecutors came knocking, she paid the fine, kept the billion-dollar valuation, and moved on like nothing happened. But the scam doesn't start with Savage X Fenty. It starts with Textile Fashion Group, the parent company that Rihanna partnered with to launch the brand in 2018. Textile has a long and well-documented history of using predatory subscription models to trap customers. In 2014, their brand Just Fab was fined and forced to settle a lawsuit over the exact same tactics. Automatic enrollments, hidden charges, customers who thought they were buying one pair of shoes and ended up paying $40 a month for a membership they didn't want. Textile was ordered to change their practices, but they never really did. They just tweaked the language slightly, buried the opt-out deeper in the checkout flow, and kept running the same scam under different brand names. By the time Savage x Fenty launched, Textile was already valued at $1 billion, despite having a decade of complaints, lawsuits, and angry customers in their wake. So when Rihanna chose to partner with Textile, she either didn't do her due diligence or she didn't care. Either way, she attached her name and her reputation to a company that had already been caught scamming people. And for a few years, it worked. Savage x Fenty's inclusive messaging and celebrity fashion shows on Amazon Prime papered over the rot underneath, but the cracks were always there. Customers started comparing notes online. They realized the VIP trap wasn't a bug, it was the business model. And once that narrative took hold, no amount of star power could reverse it. On one hand, you could argue this was a calculated PR move. Rihanna knew Textile's history. She knew the subscription model was controversial, but she also knew it would generate fast cash and inflated metrics that would attract investors. The Savage x Fenty fashion shows on Amazon Prime weren't really about selling lingerie. They were about creating buzz and keeping the valuation high long enough to cash out. On the other hand, the messiness of the timing and the deleted evidence feels way too sloppy for a professionally staged rollout. If this was all part of the plan, why did the CEO bail? Why did Rihanna's net worth drop by $400 million in 2025? Why are industry analysts now openly questioning whether Savage x Fenty can survive without a major restructuring or a fire sale? And that's where the story stops making sense. Because if you look at Rihanna's other business, Fenty Beauty, it's still doing relatively well. Sales are flat, not collapsing. The brand launched in China, it's expanding into new categories. Fenty Beauty has problems, but it's not in crisis mode. So why is Savage x Fenty dragging Rihanna's entire net worth down by nearly 30%? The answer is that Savage x Fenty isn't just underperforming, it's actively losing money. The valuation was always inflated, the subscriber base was always fake, and now that the scam has been exposed, investors are reassessing what the brand is actually worth. Spoiler alert, it's a lot less than $1 billion. But that's not even the worst part. The worst part is how Rihanna has responded to all of this. Radio silence. No apology to the customers who were scammed, no acknowledgement of the CEO departure, no transparency about the financial struggles. Instead, her team has doubled down on the inclusivity messaging, launched a bridal collection in April 2025, and kept pushing new product drops like everything is fine. It's classic crisis PR. Distract with shiny new launches, flood the feed with positive content, and hope people forget about the lawsuits and the refunds and the $400 million net worth drop. What you're about to hear next is what her team is actually afraid of. Multiple industry sources have told Bloomberg and Business of Fashion that Savage x Fenty is quietly exploring options for a sale or a merger. The brand can't go public with its current financials. An IPO would expose just how bad the numbers really are, and private equity firms aren't going to pony up another funding round without serious changes to the business model. So Rihanna is stuck. She can't shut down Savage x Fenty without admitting failure and tanking what's left of the valuation, but she also can't keep running it the way it's been run without more legal trouble and more customer backlash. The most likely outcome, a quiet sale to a bigger player who can absorb the losses and rebrand the whole thing. Maybe Textile buys her out completely. Maybe Victoria's Secret, now run by the former Savage x Fenty CEO, acquires the brand and buries it. Either way, Rihanna walks away with less money and a permanently damaged reputation in the fashion industry. This is where the clickbait title stops being clickbait and becomes receipts, because when you add it all up, the real timeline looks like this. Rihanna partners with a scam company in 2018, she uses predatory billing practices to fake a massive subscriber base, she raises funding at a $1 billion valuation based on fraudulent metrics, she gets caught and fined in 2022, but pays it off and keeps quiet. Her CEO bails in 2024 when the financials get too ugly to defend, and by 2025, her net worth has dropped by $400 million because investors and the public are finally catching on. That isn't a business struggling to find its footing, that's a scam collapsing under its own weight. And here's the kicker, Rihanna is still being celebrated as a self-made billionaire and a disruptor in the fashion world. Forbes still ranks her on the richest self-made women's list, fashion blogs still write puff pieces about her entrepreneurial genius, but the truth is that Savage X Fenty was never built to last. It was built to generate hype, attract investors, and cash out before anyone noticed the foundation was rotten. And now that the crash is happening, Rihanna is doing what every celebrity does when their business fails. She's pivoting back to music and beauty, letting Savage X Fenty fade into the background and hoping nobody connects the dots. So let's connect them. Savage X Fenty is not secretly struggling, it's openly collapsing. The financial red flags are everywhere, the strategic missteps are undeniable, and the potential downfall is not a maybe. It is already happening. The only question left is how much longer Rihanna can keep up the illusion before the whole thing implodes. The $1 billion valuation was fake, the inclusive revolution was marketing, and the $400 million loss is just the beginning. Because when the full financial autopsy of Savage X Fenty finally goes public, either through a bankruptcy filing, a fire sale, or a whistleblower leak, it is going to rewrite how we talk about celebrity brands and the venture capital bubble that enabled them. Rihanna built an empire on borrowed time and other people's money, and now the bill is coming due. The industry fallout is already starting. Textile is quietly distancing itself from the Savage X Fenty brand. Retail partners are cutting shelf space, influencers who used to promote the brand are going silent or scrubbing old sponsored posts, and the customers who got scammed, they are not coming back. Once you lose trust in the direct-to-consumer space, you do not get it back. Savage X Fenty had one shot to be the inclusive disruptor it claimed to be, and it blew it by prioritizing short-term cash grabs over long-term brand loyalty. That is not a recipe for struggle. That is a recipe for extinction.